We're going to be removing these two units. These are Fisher and Paykel. And we're going to be installing the similar sister to it, GE Cafe. I'll walk you along. So this unit was a 2-unit in one, so we do have to remove this bracket. And then the other unit is 1 complete unit. So it's 2 in 1, but this unit was actually 2 separate units. So we're gonna remove the brackets from here, and then we should be able to slide this thing in. Pretty straightforward. You do have your moisture barrier, which is going to be installed up underneath. You want to just put that there, and that's what it looks like. And of course, this side goes up, the sticky side. The shiny side will be facing down, and a portion of it will be here, and a portion will be there, but it will be stick along here. All right, so the moisture barrier is installed on the top of your cabinet. Now, because of this piece here, I wanted to get it closer up, but if you really have any concern, you might be able to get some sealant or even cut some off here and just reapply it on the top going over. But more or less, it should be totally fine. It's the initial when you first open the drawer, and any steam that might go up is going to accumulate into the wood. Now, if you have granite, you should be totally fine. You don't even need it, but again, it does keep any moisture, and the moisture falls back into the dishwasher. So I do recommend it. All right, next step is get the dishwasher in here. You do have your openings. You can put all the hoses through one of these. I do like to route the drain hoses up top just because they're higher, and we're gonna put the high loop inside there where the drain is so that the dishwasher will drain. All right guys, so a couple ways to install this dishwasher. Those are your install screws, come in a little bag, and you have these brackets that go up top. So on the side of the dishwasher, you have little holes, and they should have a little rubber stopper. You pull them out to seal the hole, and they're numbered A and B. And for example, now that little tab has to face up, so be careful, make sure you choose the right one. So A would be for, let's say, for the top here. So once this is slid in, it has to be like that, but it has to go through. So A is going to be for the bottom, B is going to be the top. Let's verify. You have right and left side. I'm not going to install it yet because I'm doing a different install method. So as you can see, it goes through the hole and then fits right there. See that? So when you open, you're able to insert your screw right there. So that's where you insert that if you're doing a top install. I'm probably going to be using this side and then the bottom. You have one there, and of course there. And then we're going to be pulling out the drawer to install your screws. Also, you should be totally fine if you just do that one at the bottom, but you do want the extra support up here, especially because once you open the top drawer all the way, it becomes kind of top heavy. So you want to make sure you have some kind of support to support it. So the two up top should be totally fine. In fact, these are what I'm going to use for here. Once I get it in the cabinet, I'll pop it in. So that's going to be the B and B. That's going to be the B and the A. Across. Beautiful. All right, so let's get this thing installed. Go ahead and get these ready for your drain line. Get the clamps on. You have your main clamp for your disposer, and this is going to be for routing the hose. There's also a screw that's supplied. You're going to insert this or install this to the highest point under your sink. So the install piece should look something like this. Make sure it's through the hole, and just want to show you how pretty much to get it in. Make sure it's flat and level, and those tabs, make sure they're up. You might need a screwdriver or something to push it in, or tap it in with a hammer or something. It does tap. Excellent. You hear the click? And you see those tabs? They're on the other side now. Now you just take this piece over it like that. All right, so this is your water line, and you're gonna have a O-ring that needs to be inserted in here before you can connect it. So once that is done, you can slide your water line. Now your water line can go through any one of these, doesn't matter, it could be at the bottom or the top. Usually in the middle, or towards the bottom. Hole's already there. So I might actually put it through this one here. Give it its own. And then your drain lines, you can put them separate. I like to separate all the lines just so that you can move them independently off their own. And I like to route the lines at the top. You're going to have two of them. And don't forget your power cord. And you might have to pull it up just a little bit, and you need to find out if your plug is on the right or the left. Wherever your plug is where you want to route your cord. Now we're going to be inserting, and before you get it fully installed, you want to make sure it's fully leveled, so that it's level. You want to make sure it's level before you get it in, or when you get it in, you can always level it. I'll show you how to do that. You do have to pull the bottom drawer out, and we can level it that way. All right, so do your leveling before you slide your unit in. I like to do my plumb level, and all right, so we're pretty level. You can also do it like that, like that. Make sure you're within the bubble, and measure from top of the cabinet. Make sure that you're pretty tall enough to slide in. Make sure you connect your hoses. Everything's in. Pull them in so that while you're sliding the dishwasher in, nothing is coming out on you. Now when it's time to slide in, you don't want to push the door. So you want to open the door slightly, and you want to push either from the top or from the side when you walk it in. So don't push the door itself. All right, so we're almost in. Now, that's one of our mounting screws or hole. And our other is going to be at the bottom, which is this guy. So once the unit is fully inserted, and we're going to pull this bottom drawer out, we're going to do a final adjustment. If we need to raise it up, it might be okay. In fact, it looks kind of good. Once this seal hits under here, it should be okay. So we might be okay on the height wise. So we're just going to remove this bottom drawer, flip the door or the drawer sideways, and we're going to insert a screw there, 2 on this side, and 2 on the other side. So go ahead and remove your tape if you have any tape along the side. So either the flooring back there now is not level as it was. As you can see how it's not in parallel with the cabinet, it's closer at the bottom. So we're going to pull this bottom drawer out, flip it on its side, and we're going to adjust our legs, and then we're able to tighten. Also want to make sure we close this gap. You have a little bit of gap right there, so we might need to slide the unit over slightly to the right. You can see the gap is closed right here, so we can go over some. So you have these tabs at the bottom. You press, and we should be able to lift this drawer up. Once the drawer is out, I need 2 hands. All right, so now you have this out, the drawer. Now we can flip this, flip it on the right side, so the hoses are on the right side, so you don't kink or twist anything, and it's easier on the hoses. So just pull it out, and you just lean it. Put a blanket down so you don't scratch the side of your dishwasher, and that's it. All right, so now we're gonna put a level back in here and level this base. We can adjust those screws and make sure the unit is level and plumb. And make sure all these, nothing is kinked. That's how those need to stay. If they become undone, they could impede how your unit closes. That clip wire has to be back there. Make sure it stays. Those black clips, they need to be upright, so when the drawer closes, it activates it. Same as over there. Now, I'm going to move this back. Behind here is what we need to tighten our screws down. There it is. And then just put this back. All right, so let's get this thing leveled. All right, so as you can see, we're in the cabinet now. And by the way, guys, you can't use a socket. You have to use something small. And this is a 5 millimeters. Okay, that's what fits over here. So you can adjust and turn. Okay, so to level it, we're gonna have to re-level it here to make sure the base is level. And we also you can also check the tracks to make sure the tracks are level. And we're pretty level there. So, meaning side to side. So, but you still want to make sure that that is level, because we are definitely tilted. So, we need to raise. So, I'm using this, it's called a Viking arc, and I'm going to go under it. And I'm going to raise up, but you don't want to put too much force under here. So if possibly, go to the left, up the cabinet, where you have a little more support, and you can raise slowly, and you can actually just turn with your hand once the pressure is off, so you don't actually have to do any turning with this. But if you don't have this jack, then you would use the tool. So lowering it because I'm raising the front. Okay, that's tight. And we need to see where we need to adjust this. So we need to go up more on the left. As you can see, we were tight up here earlier, so we're trying to push the cabinet that way. Gap's getting better, and you want to have a good gap all the way up. So now we have to do the back as well. And see, it actually slid in even better. And guys, when you push your machine, don't push the door. Always slide along the edge here. Yep, definitely a lot better. We still have to slide this side in a little bit. Reach down and push with your finger. Okay, so a little more adjustment. So we're gonna be raising that leg and the other leg, bringing everybody up. And then we're gonna do a final plumb in the front, and then make sure everything is level at the bottom. Also want to check, make sure these are on the ground, these guys, which they are. You can feel it. And this one over here. Make sure they're snug. You just want to make sure they're touching the ground, which they are. All right. And you want to make sure this piece here is indeed level, because this piece here across is probably better. So we're going to raise the left up just a little bit, just so that we see that, just a little bit. So we're going to raise this left side, this front, and then the back just a little bit more. And I'm using this piece here in the front. It's more solid, and I think we get a better measurement on it. All right, you can see we're level. So I think I'm satisfied with that. So we know our base is level, so everything should be level as well. But it doesn't hurt to throw your level across the tracks, just to make sure they're nice and level. And then we can just insert our screws right in the pad. You don't have to even move the pad. Just want to show you where they are, and that's it. All right. Holes right there. So you want to make sure that your holes for your cabinet securing are flush, and the cabinet is not actually holding the dishwasher from moving up and down, that everything is settled, seated, okay, leveled, and everything is basically sitting where it needs to be. Now, before you put screws in your cabinet, you want to drill pilot holes, just so you have a better, you don't end up breaking the wood. So tiny holes, insert your screws, and these are pretty okay. You might not have to because you have a lot of wood material under here to drill your holes. And then once you're secured, remove your level and set your thing back in. All right, guys, we got one screw in here. So moving back, you're not going to have a lot of room. So you might not even know which hole. Okay, so you have two holes opening. Your holes that you're going to insert the screw is the one in the far back. Just so you know. The first one is blank, so nothing will go in there. So move the fabric up a little bit, and you'll see the hole. There it is, far back. We're going to put the track back in. I'm going to pull these out. And a little pointer here. See this tab? Okay, that's going to go right there. See that right there? That goes onto that black thing right there. It's a clip. So make sure this is aligned properly, both of them. And then you slide it on. Don't disrupt that. If you do, you're gonna have issues with your machine closing. All right, guys, so you do have on the top here to get these in, you do have to remove the drawer. And you do have a tab. It's a little rubber tab or plastic. It snaps in. So your screw is gonna go right there, and then in and right there. I suggest you pre-drill your holes. Make sure. Now, if you don't want to install, it's pretty sturdy as is. You do have your support at the bottom, but since the top is heavy, I suggest you put something here, either the ones up top or something here, just to make sure everything stays in good. But in actuality, if you're going to be using mainly the bottom, you should be totally okay. Or if you do not use the top much, you should be okay, but it is suggested. All right, so here's your screw hole. Going to be drilling to the top. And by the way, if you can drill your holes before you do this, it's going to be a lot easier because the angle is no joke. So all right, I'm gonna fight with this till I can get it in there. All right, so it's in, screws in, and hopefully you guys were able to get your other side in as well. So that's how you do that. Now, just be mindful when you're installing back this, you want to pull these out, and again, make sure the back right there slides onto that. This piece activates that black switch, so be mindful of that. All right, so we have our drain set up. Make sure you insert all the way until it pretty much bottoms out. Now you have little lines here where your clamps are supposed to be, right there. Squeeze it. And you can release it once it's done. Same on the other one. Make sure you insert all the way, because if not, you're not squeezing the hose. All right, so before you start your dishwasher, make sure all the tapes are out. And make sure the arm can turn freely. Tape on the side. Got to put the rack back in. So this is our drain. Make sure that's not kinked. There's no disposer here, so if you have a regular setup, that shouldn't be an issue. Now, make sure your water line is connected. Your high loop, providing it's up, the line was not long enough, so I was able to route it long enough up top. It comes down, totally fine. Yeah, just pour some water in. So the pump is not dry when it goes into a drain. And you do the same to both of them. All right, we're gonna do a quick start. We're normal. Hit start. Close the door. Just gonna let water in. And sometimes I'll go into a quick drain. Hear that? Pump is draining. That initial startup, you don't want to have the pump running dry. All right, so unit is running. Customer gotta take the paper off. So this cafe has a feature, as you can hear it running. You tap. And then you open. Pretty cool. All right, and you press start. Very quiet. Alright guys, you can hear it running. It's nice and smooth. And you should be able to hear a slight humming at first, and it should get less and less. You can hear the wash arm. All is good. Just make sure you check for drain and leaks. Alright, so it's time to put on the kick plate. And a little tricky, I guess, but what you're looking at is you have this piece that is going to be sliding right in here. So this slides in here. So you want to make sure that you have enough clearance for it to slide in. So you can measure from here it's about three and a half, or then you'd go to here 3.5 from this point, 3.5, and you'd cut that piece or scribe it. So what I did, I measured from here, the base, to the top, and you take this measurement from the bottom of the hole, and we're right there in the middle. So we're going to scribe right there, all the way down, and then break. Okay, so right there, this last one. It's better to be a little bit short than too long. So 1, 2, and the second one. All right, so when you mark your little section, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flip it upside down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so we're gonna cut right here. All right, so once you get your lines pretty much marked, just cut down as much as you can on this side, and it should pretty much just... All right, so don't forget to scribe in here. I think once you snap here and here, you really should be able to just snap this thing. Takes a little bit of squeezing and 2 hands, but it should snap. So once you scribe that enough, you might need a better cutter than what I had, but it still did the job just fine. Just scribe it enough, and it's better to be a little bit shorter than too long. I had to use a sandpaper or something and just cut down a little bit, but everybody's going to have a different height cabinet, so it depends. So if it's tiny bit too long, once the cut is done, you may have to adjust it. And once it's all done, you'll see that it comes off pretty good and it snaps. Magical tripod, thank you. All right, and that's that. So now you want to get this in line with your baseboard. So basically slide it up as much as you can so it matches your baseboard. This, I guess, is a little bit in, probably missing a little piece. So that's right there. So now we have that in. We're gonna open the door or drawer. Dragging slightly, but because there's stuff right here, that should be fine. Worst come to worst, you might have to trim just a little bit more from underneath. Once you're done, you're gonna insert your screw right there, and on the other side, that's gonna hold your baseboard on. I might just take a sander and just take off a slight bit, just because can't hear that. All right, guys, real quick, just want to do one last video on this dishwasher installation. Now, it does have a smart feature, of course. You knock. It is working at the moment. Now, when it's properly installed, you should be able to open your dishwasher. It's full of dishes, and you should not have any issues as in the machine tilting. Okay, so properly installed, it's going to be very stable, and you're not going to have any movement between the frame of the dishwasher and when it's properly installed. So right now it's running. You're going to press start again, close the door, and it's doing its thing. All right.